This is the Mets POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
About as perfect of a home opener as you could get for the New York Mets as they defeat the Toronto Blue Jays in the first game of their three-game series, their first game in front of a sold-out Citi Field crowd. Final score 5-0, and the Mets move above 500 and get to 4-3 on the season. Welcome in to the Locked On Mets postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and in your Locked On Mets podcast feed. I am your host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game for rapid reaction to everything that we saw in the game today. And there is nothing like a home opener. The atmosphere, the crowd, the buzz, the excitement. As much as you would probably like the New York Mets to start their season at home on opening day, there is something special about those opening day festivities when you're on the road, and then a week or so later having that basically second opening day. The Citi Field crowd was there on hand, a sellout, ready to just give this Mets team the cheers that they deserve for the season that they had last year, our first chance to see them in 2025. And the Mets gave them a show today, a final score of 5-0. It was a bit of a slow start, but the Bats woke up in the sixth inning, putting 3 runs across the board. But yeah, the crowd was great today. It was super cool to see the pregame festivities, just everybody into it. And there's nothing like a home opener. So that was a really cool atmosphere. And the hope is that with the way this Mets team continues to play throughout the year, that in September, in October, we have a lot more crowds like that that we're able to enjoy. The story of the game today, Tylor Megill getting the start on the mound. His final line, 5 innings pitched, the 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. And while I could very easily give it to Pete Alonso, and this is early in the show for us to be doing this, I'm giving out the award now, everybody.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Through the first 5 innings, this was a dominant performance from Tylor Megill. I was doing the math while, watching the pitch count go up over the course of the game, and you're doing the math of around 15 pitches per inning, and you see how ahead of that pace that he is, and you're thinking to yourself, this could be one of those starts where Tylor Megill's going into the 6th inning, into the 7th inning, and he is putting together one of those classic starts that we want to come to expect with Tylor Megill when it comes to that stuff and what he is able to offer as a starting pitcher for this team. He had great command of that sinker, at least through the first 5 innings, both breaking balls, the slider and the curve had some really nice bite. And then the 5th inning rolled around and he just kind of lost it there in that 6th inning, He just seemed to be yanking some of those breaking pitches. They just didn't have the same snap, the same bite, and things kind of got out of hand there, and his pitch count got elevated. And so that was all she wrote for Carlos Mendoza, who then went to Reed Garrett, who is very much becoming the first guy that this team is going to count on when they have the A relievers available, when they have the A team, when they have Garrett, when they have Minter, when they have Stanek, when they have Diaz, when they know going into a game they can set up this bullpen exactly the way they want to, that Reed Garrett is going to be the first guy out of the pen, and he delivered 2 really important outs there in the 6th inning of that game. And when trying to figure out the turning point of the game, you could very easily point to the Pete Alonso home run in the bottom of the 1st inning to put the Mets in front, but to me it was the 6th inning of that game tonight.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
You have some traffic there in the 6th, and you bring in Reed Garrett. He's your first reliever out of the pen, but you're putting him into a spot, where he's got some inherited runners on base. He has to work around some traffic. It is still a 2-0 game at that point. You're feeling comfortable because Megill had this entire Blue Jays lineup guessing all afternoon long, and so you're feeling good about what you're seeing. You don't really feel like the game is in doubt, even though the Mets bats were cold after the Pete home run, but you have a 2-0 lead. You're feeling good about the game, and then all of a sudden, it feels like a train just coming to a halt. Now we've got runners on the base paths. We have to go to the bullpen. We're trying to navigate a tough spot here in the 6th inning, and we only have a 2-run lead. And so one extra base hit, all of a sudden, this is a totally different can of worms. This game's entirely different. And Reed Garrett comes in. He shuts the door, does not allow any damage to come across. And then the bottom of the 6th, I had just gotten done texting a buddy who was in the building for the game. He had flown. He doesn't live in New York. He flew in to see the game today. And I said, this game's going well, but this offense up until this point is putrid, just not enjoying what we're seeing. And it was in the top half of the 6th inning. And then the bottom of the 6th, Juan Soto has his first moment in front of a Citi Field crowd with an RBI double. Nimmo adds an RBI double. Marte adds on a sac fly. And then at 5-0, you can breathe that sigh of relief. You can kind of just let the air out and you go, okay, we are back in control of this game the way we thought we were through the first 5 innings. So Lindor with a hit in today's game in front of the Citi Field crowd. Soto had his first moment. So really cool to see all of those things kind of pile together for the New York Mets. On the other side of the break, we'll talk about Mark Vientos. We'll talk about the rest of this lineup in general and what you will be talking about tomorrow before game 2 of this series. So we'll do that when we come back here on the other side of the break. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website, it is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands. You'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Do you need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. Also, for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. There is nothing better than catching a MLB game live. If you were at the building today and you're enjoying this postcast while you're walking to the 7 line, while you're walking to your car, there is nothing like being there in the building. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of that brand new ballpark food. And if you're looking to go to a game last minute, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. Last minute deals, all-in pricing, and the lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. They've got the Gametime Picks feature. It makes finding the best deal effortless. It filters out the fluff and highlights the top discounts in the stadium. And a really cool feature at Gametime is you can get a seat view. That's right. You can see and preview your exact seat before you purchase. No bad surprises when you get to the stadium. So how about you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime? Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Back here on the Locked On Mets postcast, here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and on the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Don't worry, nothing's changing. For those of you who are huge fans of Ryan Finkelstein, he's still going to have you covered every single day with those longer form deep dive episodes. These postcasts are your place to hang out immediately after the game. I've got you covered after every game with rapid reactions. It's our meeting spot. You can vent. You can celebrate. There's more celebration than there is venting in the chat today, but this is your place. This is your hangout, and we will break down everything that happened during that day's specific game, as it is a 5-0 win for the New York Mets, their first home win of the year in their first home game of the year. And, you know, getting back into the offense in this game, the Mets had only 4 hits in this game. All 4 hits came from the top 4 in the lineup. Lindor with a hit, Soto with a hit, Alonso with the big home run, Nimmo with an RBI double. That was it. You go 5 through 9 in the order, a lot of offers in the lineup. So on a day where you score 5 runs, on a day where you have the game basically in hand from start to finish, wire to wire. You're in control of the game. This offense continues to be a sticking point. And so I think we could make it Tylor Megill, but I think we'll make the offense the focus of what you'll be talking about tomorrow.
This is what you'll be talking about.
They just need to find more, right? Good to see Lindor get a hit in front of the home Citi Field crowd. He entered the game only having 2 hits all season. So I know in the back of my mind going into this game, a little worried that he's going to step into Citi Field, feeling the pressure a little bit of only having 2 hits to start his campaign. So another slow start. Now he's in front of the crowd. There's an expectation to perform in front of that sold out Citi Field crowd, but he delivered right away with a double to start the game, got in there safely, needed a little replay assistance there, but we got the call right on the field, and it was a double for him. Soto, his big Citi Field debut, his big Citi Field moment, breaking things open there in the 6th inning. And then what can you say about Pete Alonso? I know the offense in general is a bit of a question mark, but Pete, just another home run. He is off to a fast start, and that's really good to see because they need it right now because Lindor's a little sluggish. Soto, I think, is still just coming out of his shell a little bit. I am not worried, but you want to see more. Mark Vientos with another offer. So this offense needs to really break out here in a big way. We saw it in the first game of the Miami series, but there isn't that consistency. So you'd like to see after a dominating pitching performance, you're able to break through in the 6th inning. You want to see that carry over into tomorrow. You want to see it carry over into the weekend because on paper, when you look at this offense, the expectation is they should be doing more. And we know we're going to get to a place when they are going to do more. There's going to be a time when Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo are all hot. Francisco Alvarez is back in this lineup. Jeff McNeil's back in this lineup, and it's tough out after tough out. It's tough AB after tough AB. We're going to get there. We just have to finish that journey, and it can be a little frustrating to go through these bumps along the way to get to that point when this offense looks like what it looked like in the spring and what it is supposed to look like on paper. I do want to talk about Mark Vientos, who struggled on the road trip before coming home. And isn't it funny how baseball works sometimes? Because all the talk about his defensive miscues, all the talk about him struggling offensively, and in the top of the first, he's in the lineup. Carlos Mendoza has him in the lineup, doesn't give him the day off. And in the first inning, the first 2 plays of the game are hit to him at third base. Baseball's funny that way. The ball will find you. When you're struggling, the ball is going to find you. The ball found Mark Vientos. I wouldn't say they were difficult plays, but they're not routine plays. And I thought he did a really nice job just settling down, making those plays. And I'm sure for him, it was really nice to get into the flow of the game that way. The bat's going to come, just like with all these guys. The bat is going to come at some point. We saw what Mark Vientos was able to do in the postseason. We're going to see that guy here break out at some point. But the worry that you had was him taking that stuff onto the defensive side and into the field and extending innings and just making it a little bit more difficult for this team when runs are not at a premium. You can't give teams extra ABs, extra outs, and extra runs. And he was given those first 2 opportunities today. He made a handful of plays throughout the course of the game. So that was good to see. That could be a sign of him kind of relaxing a little bit and being a little more confident. But the offense overall, you want to see a little bit more, but it is so much better for us to complain, critique, worry about this offense when they're able to still score 5 runs and they're able to send that crowd home happy in the first game of the season. So could be worse. We could be talking about a team that didn't have their offense and lost to the Toronto Blue Jays. But Tylor Megill, I thought he was excellent today. Very easily could have taken that start into the 7th inning, like I mentioned at the start of the show. But it's 2 starts for him at the beginning of the year where you've seen the stuff. The command's kind of wavered at times, but you see the raw tools, the raw stuff there of why the Mets still believe that Tylor Megill can be a key mainstay in this rotation and is going to have to be a key mainstay for them if they are going to tread water while Sean Manaea is out, while they're waiting for Frankie Montas to come back. Megill earns this spot in the rotation, and I would say through 2 starts, so far, so good for Tylor Megill and the New York Mets. We are back tomorrow. It is Griffin Canning on the mound for the New York Mets in Game 2 of this series as the Mets will go for back-to-back series victories. They picked up the one in Miami by winning the first game. They're going to get 2 chances at it. It is old friend Chris Bassett on the mound against Griffin Canning, who had a really nice first start in Houston. So he looks to follow that up in front of the home crowd tomorrow. Oh, shout out Max Kranick. grows up a New York Mets fan, has his family in attendance. He's a multi-inning guy for this team at this point, and they ask him to get the 8th and 9th inning, and he is just off to a hot start. I see Christina in the chat nervous about Canning. He did well in that first start, so I think he deserves at least this first home start before we maybe get a little bit concerned and we let those nerves and anxiety build up. But I understand maybe being a little bit on the fence. But that first start really kind of calmed a little bit of my concerns. But we will be back right here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and in the Locked On Mets podcast feed right after that game gets done. We'll break it all down. We'll recap it all for you here on the Locked On Mets postcast. So if you are new, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live. And you can join us. You can interact with me. You can be a part of these post-game shows. You don't have to just listen to them after the fact or watch them after the fact. You can be with us after each and every Mets game. Nothing's changing for you diehard Locked On Mets listeners. The Monday through Friday show remains unchanged. Just a different face and a different show here for you after these games are done. But that's going to do it for us here on this edition of the Locked On Mets postcast as the Mets win their home opener 5-0 over the Toronto Blue Jays. They go for the series win tomorrow, and they are back above 500. Everybody, have a great rest of your Friday. We will be back with you after the Mets game tomorrow. See you, everybody.